Final topic. Bumblebee spinoff details. Hey, did you know? Put a thumb in, or put a pin in that. Did you know that Transformers 5 is out?
I hadn't heard.
Uh-huh.
I actually know I did hear, and I heard it has the lowest opening of any Transformers movie in the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Which I think they were kind of projecting at this point too. But here's what's interesting.
What has it got? We talked Rotten Tomatoes in a previous episode. What's it got? Like, I think it's a 5.4.
Really?
In Rotten Tomatoes.
Because all the Transformers movies are terrible in Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know. You should bring it up and see. We could do a comparison here, because I think that's the lowest Rotten Tomatoes scores that any of them have gotten.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the lower, but just the fact that they're all low doesn't really shock me. What's interesting about this is you and I are pretty big Transformers fans. We even have it in our opening titles, okay? The original 84 movie.
Well, yeah, the original.
Yeah. We're big Oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to pull that up on Rotten Tomatoes. First one I did like. I've said numerous times on the show I'm not a big fan of Michael Bay's robot designs. To me, they look like almost insect-like. They look like big things with parts on them that are hanging off that look like they're going to fall apart at any given time, you know? Whereas I look at the old Transformers, I know they were boxing the cartoon, but take the Transformers Prime series. That's what I wanted to see up on screen.
I don't have this suspension of disbelief. I don't have a problem with.
Yeah.
For the simple fact that I remember watching the cartoons. Optimus had a trailer in the cartoons, and that trailer fucking vanished.
Yeah.
When he became
it just disappeared.
A robot.
Right.
Where'd it go? Where's the trailer? Sitting on the side of the road somewhere? No, it's just gone.
Yep. Yeah, the writers even talked about that under a commentary. Again, I said we're Transformers nerds, so I've watched commentary and a lot of this stuff. They even said we were always trying to figure out something to do with that trailer. Finally, we just, would tell the animators, just make it disappear. We'll say it's made out of transformium, or it just miraculously disappears because we couldn't figure out what to do with it. And when you're a kid, you just accept it. You don't think of anything.
Yeah. I remember when you bought the toy, though, the trailer opened up and it was like a base or something.
Yeah. And they did have that in some of the cartoon episodes. They did show that. But I liked the first Michael Bay movie just because it felt like it had the same spirit of the animated, with Peter Cullen doing the voice, and and Steven Spielberg putting his energy in. Let's make this a movie about a boy in his car, something everybody can relate to. I didn't have a problem with Shia LaBeouf. I know everybody gives him shit. I didn't think he was a problem in the movies.
I liked him in all three movies.
Yeah, I thought he was great. In 2, they had the problem with the writer's strike. I can't really fault Michael Bay for that. They had to get so much pre-prep and start shooting in places when they didn't even have a finished script. They kind of boxed themselves in. I still thought 2 was cool.
They kind of shit on Stormfire in that movie, though.
Jetfire?
Or Jetfire, yeah.
I still thought it was cool.
I liked that he was an SR-71 Blackbird.
Yeah. 3 I liked better than 2. I thought 3 was getting better in story, where it just felt like the story was a little bit better. 4 just felt
Was that the one with Spock? That was the one with Spock,
yeah,
right?
Leonard Nimoy. Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Who also did Galvatron in the 84 movie. So that was kind of a nice little full circle.
Yeah.
4 I thought was complete dog shit. That was just nothing but, everybody knows the Michael Bay's about spectacle over substance. But 4 just seemed like it was just a money shot of just so much.
Who is it? I've ragged on this before, and I cannot get over the stereotypical Autobot castings that they did with the Asian Autobot, and the Jeff Goodman Autobot.
John Goodman.
I like Jeff Goodman, or John. Yeah, I like John Goodman. Hated him. Hated to hear his voice as an Autobot.
Yeah, I didn't like that rendition either.
And then the Irish one. I'm just like, are you friggin' kidding me?
And all of a sudden, and the Irish one was kind of like almost a bad guy that didn't care about anybody too, which was weird. But Bumblebee was a whiny teenager out of nowhere in the 4th one. Remember that?
Yeah. I guess now that we say that, and you say that he didn't care about anything, what did they call the Autobots that you'd like press your finger on and had the heat thing where it turned into a Decepticon
all of them
logo?
had that rub sticker. All of them had that.
They all had that?
Yeah, that was one of their little gimmicks. Like, you got to find out if he's a good or bad guy by pressing your thumb on this, even though they already have stickers on the rest of the Autobot and Decepticon. Even the original Optimus Prime had that. Yeah, all of them had that.
But I thought there were some that were like a car, but it turned out to be a Decepticon. And
There was one, again, we're going into nerd territory here, folks. So unleash all you want in the comments, but this is our shit that we love. There was that one Transformer that was a double spy. It was punch and counterpunch. He could turn into an Autobot or a Decepticon.
Okay.
That's probably what you're thinking. And he only came in the final
sure
season, which was basically just a 3-episode arc because they just cut down a budget and the animation is shitty. But it was still a cool end of the series. But yeah, he was in the final. We could nerd up on this shit all day.
Yeah, rabbit hole.
4 was just dog shit. Dinobots, cool to look at, served absolutely no story purpose whatsoever.
No.
Just there. No.
You didn't say Grimlock at all.
Yeah, I don't think they did in the movie, did they?
I don't think so.
I had
He's
no
just riding it off that stupid ship.
Yeah. And they didn't get all the good musical overtures that made such great themes in the first 3. They just basically started over. The only time you got some of those great tones that made you kind of get some of that emotional resonance that you got from the first couple movies was when Optimus pulls out the sword and all of a sudden he looks like a knight and you hear that dun dun dun. That was kind of cool, but it was just one little callback. Something else. That Lockdown character that was almost like a Navy SEAL bad guy bounty hunter, he was cool. I fucking liked that. I thought that was cool. Yeah. But Bumblebee
he wasn't a Decepticon though, right? He was just bad guy.
Yeah, he came from the original from the Transformers animated the show was called Transformers Animated. He was cool. It just doesn't feel like Michael Bay cares about keeping the tone and the spirit of what made these characters so appealing before. I mean, the whole thing with Optimus Prime originally was, and Peter Cullen, the guy that voiced him, even said specifically he was modeled after his brother that went to war. He had a lot of references and kind of modeled him after like John Wayne, I thought you were made of sterner stuff and always doing the honorable thing and being the right guy.
Yeah.
But Michael Bay he started doing this in 2 and then it just got worse and worse. In 2 when he makes Optimus Prime say, "Give me your face." I'm like, Prime would never fucking say that. Or in 4 when he's like, "Kill them all." That's not Prime at all.
Prime, yeah.
And then they also had all the Decepticons now. Didn't even transform. They just floated into something else.
Those weren't really Decepticons, though.
Whatever the hell they were. It was stupid. When you're going to watch something transform, you want to watch it transform, not just float into something else.
What did they call that substance in the fourth
Transformium.
movie, okay. Lame as shit.
Stupid.
Okay, but that actor that they got in there, that created Stinger and then accidentally recreated Megatron.
Yep.
Can't remember what his name is, but I do like that actor.
Yeah, I thought he was a good actor in it. I just thought the whole premise of, by the way, humans now can make anything into anything at any given time. Like,
well, because they've reversed.
Sure.
Because they've reversed the
Where do you go from that now? Shouldn't by Transformers 5, which I haven't even seen and have no desire to see it in theaters. I can't believe I'm saying that. Shouldn't that mean our entire society should be like 1,000 years in the future now that we can make anything out of anything now? How do you come back from that?
Training wheels.
Yeah, seriously. It's funny. We haven't even gotten to our topic. Our topic here is supposed to be about...
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, this is good. We needed to get that stuff out of the way so we could actually explain our views on the Bumblebee movie. Here's what's interesting, because I think we've got different views on the Transformers Bumblebee movie. First of all, it was announced that the Bumblebee movie is going to be taking place back in the 80s. It's going to be a smaller movie, more about the relationship between him and a girl. I think that's what this needs because you see so much shit going on all the time. You're desensitized to it. It's not cool like it was in the first Transformers movie. Michael Bay's not going to be directing this. Thank God. It's time for him to fucking move on. And they said that they're going to harken back to more of the 80s themes, including we could see Bumblebee as a Volkswagen Bug. I'm not saying this movie is going to be the one to save the franchise, but I'm more pumped for this, knowing that it's coming from a new direction and hearkening back to some of the things that made it so great for us that grew up with it in the 80s, way more than this Michael Bay money shot special effects spectacle that we're seeing with 5. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think we need to pump the brakes on the Transformers.
That'll never happen because of money. Not going to happen.
Yeah, they're making money hand over fist. Now, Bumblebee movie, the only thing I have written on my card right now, why?
Yeah.
I understand that Bumblebee, the kids love Bumblebee.
You just answered your own question.
When I talk to my son,
yep,
we see a yellow car driving down the road, and immediately if it's like a sports car, he's like, "Is that Bumblebee?" And it's like, "No, it's not the Bumblebee car." So it's definitely endearing to children. They love that character. Now, the fact that it's happening in the 80s, I'm almost disgusted by the fact that Hollywood seems to think we can start putting things in the 80s now and all of a sudden it's going to be cool and bring people in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, I turned 40 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the 80s. Is it going to make me want to take my kids to the theater and be like, hey, this is what the 80s were like, kids?
Yeah.
No. If the movie sucks, it's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to have a solid story behind it with only Bumblebee, what are you really going to do? Herbie the Love Bug movie, for Christ's sakes?
Yeah, you're right. It has to center around a great story. One of the things I like about the 80s, you're right, just putting it in the 80s isn't going to make it a good movie. But what I like about putting it in the 80s is if they harken back to more of the stuff that brought that nostalgia out in us, that would still resonate if an audience saw them today. And here's what I also like about the 80s. Removing the noise of today's society of cell phones and Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff, and getting back to what's
present in the scene. Yeah,
getting back to a relationship with this young girl and Bumblebee and however it works, and focusing more on the relationships. I like the fact that it's smaller and just Bumblebee and placed back there. Not really because it's the 80s, just that it's removing a lot of this noise that we won't have to see, and hopefully we get a fresh take with more care. And I shouldn't shit on Michael Bay because I mean he's good at what he does. I think it's spectacle over substance.
Visually, the stuff he does looks nice.
But now we're past it. Now we're not wowed by this anymore.
I'm just like, they say the 80s, and I'm like, it's going to be a smaller scale. They didn't say smaller budget. They said smaller scale.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, not 1,000 Autobots fighting Decepticons. What story are you going to make about this? The relationship between a girl and her car?
That's what's so cool is the question mark in the air here.
Is this a buddy comedy? Is this Thelma and Louise?
Mm-hmm.
Or Thelma and Bumblebee?
Well, if we know that if they're,
I guess that's the part that I don't know.
Sure, if they're going to take Bumblebee, which you're right, has probably the biggest draw for kids, and we're going to take a new girl, probably teenage girl, and we're going to isolate it, or not isolate, but shrink it down to more of a central story between the relationships. I think that's what would make this a lot more compelling because it would say what?
Herbie. I'll just keep saying it.
Well, you know
Herbie,
what though?
The love bug.
Not like comedic and old school Disney jokey like that, but in a way kind of similar. Yeah, about that relationship and how much you care.
Yeah, and that's you talking about a girl in a car, and that's all I can think of.
Yeah. I'm really intrigued by this, but again, I mean, who knows? It could go in a million different directions. But I'm more hopeful for something like this than I am about whatever the hell's on the theater right now, Transformers 5.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to think about this. If we go back to the 80s,
mm-hmm.
we can't cover current topics. So this can't be about a girl that's being bullied, and the car's helping her defeat that. Because that's not an 80s topic.
I doubt, yeah, you're right. I would be surprised if they were going to put all this money in production and taking something that was cool, like a transforming car that even though the kids love Bumblebee, and just make it about, she's getting put down by the cool kids. I don't see that.
She's getting bullied by the cool kids whose parents have money.
Right.
And she somehow scrounged up enough money to buy this bug that turned out to be the coolest thing fucking ever.
Yeah, see, that's
right.
I don't see that being this movie. Like, that's more of a spin-off series.
One Crazy Summer / Herbie / bully movie with a moral premise.
That to me is more of a spin-off series that they put on Disney XD.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I don't think they would do with a $100 million movie. So
yeah, I mean, I think they knew what bullies were in the 80s, but I don't think they gave a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can tell you they didn't, because I remember being bullied in the 80s. There wasn't a bunch of people coming around me like huddling with me being like, everything's going to be okay.
Well, that's because you didn't have a giant transforming car that had your back.
Well, exactly.
So this can solve that problem.
Bitches around.
Right there. I'm just glad they're taking it in a different route. That gets me excited. You know, while we're on the topic of movies too, I just thought that this was interesting. You put in a link about Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal's conversation. I mean, we already knew that the Spider-Man thing. We already knew that the Spider-Man was going to be in the Marvel.
Friction.
And everything else was not. I think the thing that set this off on fire was a simple slip of what she meant to say. Because when she said, well, they're adjunct, they're not part of, but they're kind of in the same or whatever. And then we saw that meme that went all over the internet with Kevin Feige being like, what are you talking about? And it was clarified by both of them. No. The Venom spin-off movies, everything they're doing are...
You can't throw her under the bus entirely, because during this whole storm, Kevin Feige's like, well, of course I want everything under the Marvel ECU or MCU.
Sure.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you do.
He does, but as far
But
as
at the same
officially
time, I mean, you're kind of...
what's in the MCU and what's not, the only thing that created any conflict here was when Amy
he made it sound like
said,
he wanted to bring X-Men and everything.
well,
X-Men's
when
gonna
Amy
be there,
specifically
Spider-Man's
said,
gonna be
yeah,
there.
Venom and them, they're adjunct to this, they're not in the universe. That's what created the whole confusion. And then also the meme going around when Kevin Feige looked at her during the interview, didn't say anything, but was like, what are you talking about? Then they clarified. I think that's what really set the internet ablaze. But come on, we all know there's no way that that Marvel's going to be like, all right, you foot the bill, we'll make the Spider-Man movie. We're killing it. You can destroy all the profits while we do all the work because we really want Spider-Man in this universe. And by the way, yeah, you can also piggyback all your other movies that we have no control over whatsoever, but you can just say they're in our universe. Fuck no, they would never do that. There's no way.
That's again, that makes me wonder what's going to happen with who's going to be Spider-Man.
Well, from what
Venom,
they said now is that
or
Spider-Man's
whoever else.
They've already got a trilogy planned. It's going to be separate from the Venom universe that they're doing with the Venom spin-off movies in the meantime, and that after that we don't know. I'm assuming Sony would take it back and do it, or maybe they'll let Marvel keep doing it. I mean, as long as they get to keep bringing in the profits themselves and let Marvel just make them, that's a pretty good deal for them.
I think you know what might happen. Come July 7th or July 9th, Sony might just go, why are we making these movies again? When they have their pile of money on their desk and they did jack shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you can use it.
That's true.
Because I'll guarantee you, Spider-Man is going to have the biggest opening of the year.
Think so? I'm trying to think what else comes out this year.
Oh, yeah. Justice League comes out this year.
Mm-hmm. Does it?
I think does Avengers come out this year?
Is Justice League this year?
Yeah, Justice League is in November.
Okay.
Spider-Man will be the biggest opening movie of the year. Everybody loves Spider-Man.
Well, let's cross our fingers. I hope so. I'm excited.
Prune juice.
Guarantee? Yeah. You're going to take the full?
From moi.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard that. I would pre-order your tickets right now because if you don't, you're going to be kicking yourselves.
If you can. They're sold out. I guarantee it. No, that I will not prune juice. But I think it will be the biggest movie of the year.
I mean,
should have opened on July 4th.
It definitely wouldn't be weird if it was.
But
Spider-Man movies tend to kill. I mean, wasn't that Spider-Man, the original one, Spider-Man 2, some of the biggest openings of all time?
2 held the record until Pirates of the Caribbean 2 came out. So, and then Avatar. And then,
dude, I tell you what, between Transformers games and Bumblebee spin-off movies and Spider-Man, it's a great time to be a nerd.
It is.
We should talk about that on the internet or something.
We should. Maybe we should make a channel or something.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Fractured Focus, episode number 28. The show we obsess about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. And don't forget, you can always check us out on youtube.com/fracturedfocus as we attempt to entertain you with our semi-witty banner and our incessant rambling. I should probably just put the incessant rambling in all caps because that's actually way more of what it is.
Flash it on the screen.
Yeah, than any kind of wit. And you'd know that if
Sunday.
Until next time.
Incessant rambling.